The Covenant, 2023. The story opens in war-torn Afghanistan, where U.S. Army Sergeant John Kinley leads a small Special Forces unit on dangerous missions against the Taliban. The terrain is harsh, the air tense, and every step could trigger an ambush. Kinley depends heavily on local interpreters, men caught between loyalty and survival. After a mission ends in disaster, Kinley's longtime interpreter is killed, leaving the unit shaken. Command assigns Ahmed, a quiet but determined Afghan interpreter, to replace him. Trust is fragile, but both men understand survival depends on cooperation, communication, and courage. As missions continue, Kinley slowly begins to respect Ahmed's intelligence, instincts, and deep understanding of the land. Ahmed proves invaluable, warning the unit of traps and reading subtle dangers others miss. Through tense patrols and brief conversations, Ahmed reveals he once worked for the Americans to protect his family from Taliban threats. Meanwhile, the Taliban grows suspicious of Ahmed's involvement with U.S. forces. Kinley promises that if anything goes wrong, the army will help Ahmed secure a visa through the Special Immigrant Visa Program. It is a promise made under fire, carrying heavy moral weight. During a high-risk operation targeting a weapons cache, Kinley's unit is ambushed. Explosions rip through the convoy, bullets tear across the valley, and chaos erupts. One by one, soldiers fall, leaving Kinley badly wounded and disoriented. Ahmed manages to pull Kinley from the battlefield, escaping under relentless enemy pursuit. With no radio and no support, Ahmed drags Kinley across mountains and deserts, hiding during the day and moving at night. Every step tests his strength, loyalty, and resolve, as the Taliban hunts them relentlessly through unforgiving terrain. The journey becomes a brutal test of endurance and faith. Ahmed carries Kinley on his back when he cannot walk, scavenges food, and risks exposure to save him. Flashbacks reveal Ahmed's past, his family, and his belief in honor over fear. Kinley, drifting in and out of consciousness, begins to understand the depth of Ahmed's sacrifice. Despite exhaustion, injuries, and constant danger, Ahmed refuses to abandon him. His actions are driven not by orders or money, but by a personal code of loyalty, the covenant he believes binds them as brothers. Against impossible odds, Ahmed finally delivers Kinley to a remote U.S. extraction point. American forces recover Kinley, but Ahmed disappears into the shadows to avoid capture. Back in the United States, Kinley recovers physically, but his mind remains haunted by guilt and gratitude. He learns that Ahmed's visa application has stalled in bureaucracy, leaving him and his family exposed to Taliban retaliation. Kinley struggles with survivor's guilt, haunted by the promise he made. The war may be over for him, but his moral obligation has only just begun. Unable to rest, Kinley investigates Ahmed's situation and discovers the Taliban has placed a bounty on his head. Official channels move too slowly, and excuses replace action. Kinley's frustration turns into determination. Despite warnings, he chooses to return to Afghanistan as a civilian contractor, using his own money and contacts to find Ahmed. Friends question his sanity, but Kinley believes honor demands action. He is no longer fighting for orders or country, but for a man who carried him through hell. The covenant must be fulfilled, no matter the cost. Back in Afghanistan, Kinley navigates a dangerous underworld of smugglers, mercenaries, and informants. Every encounter carries risk, and betrayal lurks everywhere. He learns that Ahmed and his family are constantly moving, hunted, and desperate. Kinley narrowly avoids Taliban patrols while piecing together Ahmed's location. The country feels colder, more hostile than before, now that Kinley stands alone. Without military protection, every choice could mean death. Yet Kinley pushes forward, driven by guilt, gratitude, and a fierce sense of loyalty that refuses to let Ahmed be forgotten. Kinley finally reunites with Ahmed, who is battered but unbroken. Their reunion is brief and tense, filled with urgency rather than relief. Taliban forces close in, forcing a desperate escape plan. Kinley hires a convoy to smuggle Ahmed and his family toward the border, but the journey turns violent when they are ambushed. Gunfire erupts, vehicles burn, and chaos returns. Kinley and Ahmed fight side by side once more, trusting each other completely. The bond forged in war proves stronger than fear, bullets, and betrayal. As the situation collapses, U.S. forces intervene at the last possible moment, providing air support and extraction. Ahmed and his family narrowly escape death, reaching safety after years of fear. Kinley watches as Ahmed boards the aircraft, finally free from the shadow of the Taliban. There are no speeches, only shared glances heavy with emotion. The promise has been kept. The covenant honored. For Kinley, the weight lifts, replaced by quiet peace. He understands that true heroism is not found in medals, but in loyalty, sacrifice, and moral courage. The film ends with Ahmed starting a new life, safe but forever shaped by his past. Kinley returns home changed, carrying lessons war taught him about responsibility and humanity. The covenant closes on the idea that bonds formed in war transcend borders, language, and politics. It honors the interpreters who risk everything for promises often forgotten. The story stands as a tribute to loyalty under fire, reminding viewers that survival sometimes depends not on strength or weapons, but on trust, honor, and the courage to keep one's word even when the world turns away.